Hello, and welcome back to another artistic review. This time we are joined by a very special guest, the amazing JoCat. Welcome.
Hello. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm always happy to talk about myself because I'm incredibly vain and have an ego that needs to be fed.
Oh my goodness, as a fellow narcissist, I can definitely empathize. Yes indeed, welcome. This is gonna be a pretty casual format, just kind of, having a chill little discussion about being an artist and all the wonderful, wondrous, incredible amounts of suffering that entails. So,
hmm
yeah, for just in case there is anyone in the world who doesn't happen to know who you are, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is JoCat. I am I guess, content creator online, but also artist and animator. That's what I tend to tell people if they don't look like they watch YouTube videos. I started my channel in 2018, making little Let's Plays, kind of overly edited Let's Plays with lots of special effects of Monster
Mm.
Hunter World, and with my friends when I was in college. And then I made a satirical guide series called The Crap Guides because Monster Hunter was not the most accessible game to get into at the time, even with the streamlining of World, as some longtime Monster Hunter fans will say. So I made a guide series, mostly for my friends to get into the game and teach them how to play. But it blew up, and I've been doing YouTube as like my main job ever since. I made the crap guide to D&D afterwards. I make the
Mm.
occasional video essay analysis or animation, and really what just fits my fancy. There's not really an easy, like a basic format my channel goes to, it does as far as the videos on it, for better or for worse. Um, so yeah, I do a variety of stuff. I stream on Twitch sometimes. I just finished a subathon,
Heck yeah.
and I'm gonna get back into doing focusing on videos because I think I've been neglecting videos recently.
And I think that is kind of the cool thing about having like a variety channel because you're not kind of beholden to, a singular topic or game or something of that nature
Mhm,
where if you're not doing that, then your entire fan base is like, hey, what about this game that we all know you for? Uh,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know.
for sure. There was a little bit of that when I like tried to branch out and do things besides Monster Hunter, like
Mm.
things that were not Monster Hunter related were definitely just not performing good at all. And I felt the need to put the Wiggler head, which was kind of my de facto mascot, Joe Crap, my alter ego for a while, and I that kind of became the face of the channel for a little while and what people came to watch me for. So I felt the need to put that in everything. I needed to title everything with crap guide or else people wouldn't watch. But I'm glad that I managed to be lucky enough that my channel didn't die after the crap guides of Monster Hunter was wrapped up. Um, and that I haven't had to spend the past 8 years doing the same content over and over again. Some people can, I cannot. Like some people, like Yahtzee Croshaw, creator of
Oh my
Zero
goodness.
Punctuation, now fully Ramblematic, it can manage to do the same thing for over a decade. But that's just not me.
It's so funny because I was actually going to bring up a zero punctuation a little bit later on, so spoilers.
Mhm,
But we'll do it now. So yeah, it's interesting because I was actually looking at your one of your videos. The thing was like how to create a crap guide to D&D or Monster Hunter or
mhm.
Final Fantasy, and there was this cool thing you did when you were writing the script where you would like be in the Google document and you'd be writing. But whenever you get to like a snag point, like, oh, I need to come up with a clever thing or a joke, you'd have like a placeholder like insert funny simile here and kind of like put off the actual like having to think about it for later, which is a really cool way to like avoid that creative roadblock that I think people can suffer from of
Mhm.
trying to come up with things maybe out of order or trying to like, do all the intellectual parts early on. Tell me a bit about that, like your writing process and scripting process, and what you've kind of learned through your inspirations and kind of struggles along the way.
Well, as far as the crap guides go, I've got it down to a pretty strong formula. I feel like that I mostly abide by, where I will do a little bit of research on the subject matter, like read up on it, or in case of a game, play it a bit. Write down kind of my initial thoughts in a sort of bullet point, very messy outline. Then I will look up some guides, perhaps from other people who have more experience than I do, um, and kind of keep that in mind, and then readjust the script. Then go back in, and then, or rather, in the case of video games, go back in and play more and grab more footage,
Mm.
and with all the new things that I've learned, and then readjust the script, um, and then finally, like, just polish up the script. Then whenever the script is done, go back in the game and grab whatever footage that is needed for specific moments in the script. For D&D, D&D was a very unique one because I can't just go
Mm.
in and grab footage, for instance, which is kind of where the messy drawing style that I think I'm best known for came from, is because, well, how do you depict D&D? Well, you play it, but I don't have the means to play it all the time, so I guess I'll draw it on a crinkly sheet of paper the same way that you would with D&D,
Yeah.
writing on a sheet of paper with your crayons or pencils or whatever. And that kind of informed how that style came to be.
And that's really cool too, the kind of like animated or maybe even like pseudo animated style of being able to, because I think that that kind of elevated the medium. You think,
I
uh,
think so.
yeah, of like zero punctuation, which I'm also a big fan of, and like obviously, I think the writing is probably the main draw. Like you listen to those like 10 hours of zero punctuation, and you're just like
Mhm.
enamored by Yahtzee's ability to just have all these like amazing witty jokes and whatnot. But like also having like the kind of visual element as is happening right now. Uh,
Mhm.
I think definitely creates a lot of interest. And have you always been an artist on the topic of that, being a good interviewer?
Yes, always. There's some photos of, like, I still have some photos that my parents took of me when I was growing up, making like little clay, playing with clay, like Play-Doh clay.
Mm.
Not like clay, but like playing with Play-Doh and drawing and making kind of little figurines out of Scotch tape, which was kind of a weird thing that I just enjoyed doing as a kid, I guess. But like, yeah, I feel I've always been an artist. I've always wanted to create things, and that's kind of a big draw as to why I think um I do a variety of stuff as well, is because I just can't settle with one. I gotta experiment. And whenever I see a new thing, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want to do that. So yeah, I would say I've always been an artist. I wouldn't say I've until recently gotten like proper education on it. It's
Mm.
mostly like watching Art Attack or getting art books. I did not
Mm.
take an art class, like a proper, like dedicated art class, until high school,
Mhm.
and I had been drawing long before then. So
Interesting. So, how did you kind of find that almost formal education shaped the way that you draw things? Was it like a big change, or like, was it learning fundamentals? Was it kind of being exposed to new elements of like, like the old master painters or something like that? Like, what kind of helped you the most as you were kind of learning how to draw?
I think more than anything, it just gave me a space to hone my craft and experiment. I don't think and this is no disrespect. I know this is going to sound like, oh, I didn't learn anything in school. Ugh, I didn't need school anyway. But no, I did learn a lot. But like, I feel as though, as far as art classes went, it more so just gave me a space to dedicate to doing art. And same thing with college as well. It's like a lot of the stuff that they had us do in college, I had already knew how to do,
Mm.
but I finally just had the room, like, to dedicate to doing it, and that's where I think I finally got to excel, was just having it's like, okay, this thing that you already enjoy doing recreationally, it's an assignment now. Go all out, make it the
Mm.
best that you can, rather than only dedicate whatever free time you have to it.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too, is, a lot of people assume art must be some kind of talent that you are born with. And, if you don't have it at the beginning, then you don't have it ever. But that's not really the reality. But it does take a lot of dedication and practice. You have to kind of
Mhm.
put in the work and the time in order to really like hone that mastery. And I think, there are people who say that formal education isn't really the most helpful environment for learning. Fair enough. But it can kind of offer that, focus, which I think if you struggle with focus, for instance, it can kind of be helpful in that sense.
Yes, very much so, and I think that that's what it was for me, is like, it helped me focus.
Mm. And especially as like an independent creator, when you're kind of not beholden to like, the same kind of scrutiny as working at like an animation studio or something. Did you find that, any kind of structure was really helpful for you as you were like doing YouTube stuff and you had like all these videos to make? And, like having like did you impose deadlines? Like what did you kind of do to stay motivated and make and make things?
I tried to. I am not lacking in like internal motivation.
Mm.
Uh or rather let me reword that. I want these things to exist, and that is push enough for me. Um, and sometimes I will put deadlines just because I feel as though it's been long enough that I haven't put out a video in recent time, and also I got to pay my bills, so it
Naturally.
is my full time job. Um, but I do find the process can be quite tiring. So that's the thing that demotivates me. But like the motivation is all kind of internal. I want this thing to exist and nothing is going to make it for me. So I
Mm.
better start getting to it and doing it. But yeah, as far as deadlines go, they're all kind of arbitrary and self-imposed. There's no real reason the deadlines that I set are the way that they are or where they are, but it does kick me into high gear when I know I have one. That said, though, I would not want someone to decide that deadline for me just
Yeah.
because I have a bit of control issues and I have a very like strong vision of what I want my projects to be, what I want my videos to be, and a lot of the things that about my videos are in my head because I find, although for some people it is more helpful for them to write them down and get an outline. For me, that's just not a waste of time, but like for me, I struggle with that because I'm
Hmm.
like, this is time that I could spend just getting it together, just putting it
Yeah.
together already. I already know the outline in my head. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do the outline.
Interesting. And is this a process you kind of like developed organically, like naturally, just through trial and error, or was it something that you kind of like had a more intentional approach to?
I think so. Yeah, trial and error. I just figured this is the method that works the best for me because just how my brain works mentally whenever I do that outline 'cause that is also work, right?
Mm.
Making an outline, setting like bullet points and stuff
Yeah,
like
the
that.
rough
That
draft.
is work. Yeah, the rough draft is work. But in my brain because I've done that work, I'm like, "Okay, I'm done. Break time now." And then like mentally I'm like, "I've finished. What do you mean there's more work to do?" And I
Mm.
just can't be I find it harder, more difficult to motivate myself to continue because in my brain, I feel as though I'm finished, right? I did the
Mm.
work. It's done. But no, I've just finished the first chapter of the work. And so in order to help me not stagnate in that way, I just kind of forego that part of the process because I know that if I do, I'm just going to be like, "Oh, but I did it already." Even though that's not how it works.
I think there's a great metaphor for that in terms of actually just drawing is that some people really dislike sketching or line work
Mhm.
because like, well, I've already done the sketch. Why do I need to draw all these clean lines when I can just start
Again,
painting?
yeah.
And I mean, that's literally what I'm doing right now. But,
Mhm.
I think, people try to like pigeonhole themselves into like techniques that is like, oh, well,
Mhm.
clearly, if this artist draws this way, then this is how everyone should draw. But like, you kind of have to like feel things out for yourself and like see what works
Yes.
best for your own brain, because different
Mhm.
brains, happen in different ways. And if you try to, put it goes in the square hole. You put the round peg in the square hole, whatever. It doesn't really work out too well. So when it
Mhm.
comes to, like projects and creating stuff that you want to see in the world, uh, what do you think were your kind of like early inspirations? Was there anything that like made you be like, "Oh, I want to make art that's like as good as this," or something of this nature as you were kind of learning?
I think I always had that as a kid when I realized that like the lesson, and this is gonna sound sadder than it actually is. It's not that sad. We all
Okay.
learn this. That like sometimes you just don't get what you want.
Mm.
Um, like there's just going to be things in life that you want that aren't going to exist, and there's going to be things that it's like you like, but you wish it was a little different. But
Mm.
what you have is what you have. And me growing up as a kid, I was like, wait a minute, people made these. I'm a people. I
Hmm.
can make stuff. I'll do it myself. And so, realizing the power that I have as a human being capable of creation, I started, like drawing the things that I like, making like my family was well enough off, but we weren't super rich.
Mhm.
So when I couldn't get a certain toy that I wanted, I would just make it out of like tape and little like rolls of toilet paper and
Nice.
cardboard and crafts. I would just make it myself. I'm like, oh, there's not a toy with a guy with a big sword that I can buy because I get an allowance. I don't have that much money. So I'll just make it myself. And I just made it myself. And I think that's uh, continued with me to this day, to the point where the crap guides are a direct result of that idea of making a thing that I want that doesn't exist.
That's really cool. Like the old makeshift bionicles. Yeah. It's yeah, that's really neat. I think there is kind of like for some folks like this feeling of like learned helplessness where
Hmm.
if I can't get something, oh well, that's just the way the world is and I should be okay suffering in my desire that will never be fulfilled. So like being able to
Hmm.
kind of, get into the world and just be like, hey, I am going to put things in the world that I want to see. I think is a great philosophy, not just like for yourself, but just for making stuff that people will like. Because, there's
Hmm.
all, like, especially like on the YouTubes and being a content creator, I think there can be this element of like, I need to chase the trends like Mr. Beast and see what the algorithm likes. But like,
Hmm.
in reality, if you make stuff that you like and that appeals to you, you will also attract other people with a similar mindset to yourself. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, get like that cult following. So has that been your
Yeah.
experience as well?
I think so. Yes, I've met a lot of people who, I mean, obviously, with any sort of specific content creation online, whenever you make the kind that you like, you're going to find other people who also like that thing.
Hmm.
Like, there's a reason why content creators get so many sponsorships. It's because it's great advertising.
Mm-hmm.
You reach a lot of people with great exposure. So yeah, definitely, I've met a lot of people who like Monster Hunter, a lot of people who like D&D, a lot of people who are artists. Um, and a lot of people who just are into similar things that I do because those are the things that I make. And I mean, who's going to watch them other than the people who are into it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny too, because oftentimes it can be like this evangelical kind of spreading of interests and hobbies. Like if someone, wasn't into Final Fantasy 14 to begin with, they learn there's a free trial and a critically acclaimed, up to Stormblood, as it were. Um,
Shadowbringers now.
oh my goodness, insane. And I
Mhm,
was, on a personal level, I was a WoW player for many years. I'm in recovery
mhm.
now, thankfully. But it was Jesse Cox's video who actually introduced me to Final Fantasy,
Ah,
and then it
wow.
was it was your crap guides. They were like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, it ended up being one of the best story games that I have played. So
I'm glad
def-
you've enjoyed it.
yeah, definitely worth it. So let's kind of go back to D&D. So obviously that was kind of like the catalyst of your animated stuff. What got you into making crap guides for D&D? Was it a desire to like evangelically be like, hey friends, play D&D with me, and also here's how you can learn how to play it in a very quick and efficient manner?
Yes.
Nice.
Basically that, but with Monster Hunter. They were like, "Oh, Monster Hunter World," because Monster Hunter World had just come out,
Hmm.
and that was a big kind of soft reboot for the franchise, making
Mm.
it like way more like AAA looking terms of budget and presentation. Because Monster Hunter had reused a lot of its assets and kind of stuck with its sort of PS2 era art style for quite a
Mm.
long time.
Yeah.
And it's also been a very obtuse game as well. Lots of systems, lots of not clear ways to get to the monster hunting.
Yeah.
Um, and so with World coming out, and it was such a big deal for Monster Hunter fans, I think they'll agree that it's like World was a massive, like, look, guys, it's good. It's actually a video game you can play and not like a test of your patience.
Mm.
I did not and because it's such an obtuse game sometimes and it's got a lot of deep systems, a lot of the guides go in depth to try and help you understand those systems. But the problem is those with all due respect to the people who make those guides,
Mm.
they're what helped me get into Monster Hunter. With all due respect, those guides are boring. They are so long unless like they're great for if you're already into Monster Hunter and want to know all the deeper intricacies. But if you don't know Monster Hunter, if you're not already interested in the game, these are going to sound like homework. And I was
Mm.
thinking, no one who isn't already into Monster Hunter is going to want to watch this.
Yeah.
So I'll make them short, I'll make them silly, I will make them fun and joking and not take the game too seriously. And I think that is what appealed to a lot of people, Monster Hunter fans included, because I was already a Monster Hunter fan, so I could include a lot of things for the longtime fans as well, that kind of show that it's coming from someone with experience with the franchise. So it's got some things for old fans and got things for new fans because it's digestible, it's nice and short. I had a rule that I was going to keep them at most like 2 to 3 minutes long,
Mm.
because there weren't any guides that short. There were not like Monster Hunter's guides up until that point. I feel, and this is going to be me stroking my ego.
Sure.
I feel Monster Hunter guides up until then were very sterile. They were
Mm.
very kind of analytical, numbers based, and there weren't any really entertaining ones.
Yeah.
So that was my goal. It's again, it goes back to this thing I want to exist but doesn't exist. I'll make it myself.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
in a similar vein, the D&D guides as well. Like D&D is another game with a lot of numbers, a lot of intricacies, a lot of depth that can be boring to listen to. Thankfully, I feel as though I need to give credit to Davy Chappie, fellow
Mm.
D&D content creator who now does kind of LARP stuff, who I must credit for kind of laying the groundwork and being the shoulders of me standing on, because his guides were kind of succinct and to the point and a little bit entertaining. I just took it to in my own flavor in my own direction. Um, but yeah, similar thing, but also because like I was like, okay, well, this crap guide format, it was helpful, useful for Monster Hunter. What's another hobby that I feel people have trouble getting into that I want to share? That is a hobby of mine that I enjoy.
Mm.
D&D. There we go. And then that's where that came from.
Yeah, and it's very much holy shit, two cakes, if you know that image.
Yeah,
Where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of people get caught in this kind of like this mental trap of, oh, well, if someone's already come up with this idea of making a guide for something, clearly the market's saturated, so I can't do anything in this,
Mhm.
in this hobby space. But like, no, it's like the anti-gatekeeping of like people can build and grow and learn from each other and make their own stuff.
Yeah,
And the world becomes a
absolutely.
brighter place, through that community. And obviously I think you've definitely found community in like the D&D space and kind of, making all these cool like actual plays and
Oh,
uh
100%.
yeah, like what's that been like?
Oh man, I've met so many people. I feel bad that I haven't caught up with the kind of D&D folk that I've made friends with over the years. It's just kind of, like this is how friendship is. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
kind of drift and go off in your own directions. But I've met some of the coolest people in the D&D space. Dingo Doodles,
Mm.
Puffin Forest, Davy Chappie, of course. Davy Chappie, in fact, as a matter of fact, he officiated my wedding
Whoa.
last year. So yeah. Um,
Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Uh, just so many Fel the Lab. I feel as though inadvertently as well, like indirectly, has introduced me to a bunch of other people that aren't even in the D&D space, like Overly Sarcastic Productions, who are into D&D but they don't
Mm.
make D&D content. But they heard of me from seeing my crap guides to D&D, and just I feel as though much as the crap guides to Monster Hunter is what kind of put me on the map, um, as far as YouTube and got the YouTube ball rolling. I think the crap guides to D&D solidified my place and was like, okay, this is a real thing. I am now a significant. I have a significant place here now.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's when my channel really popped off, because I feel as though D&D has a lot more mass appeal than Monster Hunter.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
And also that was during I was very lucky because that was during the D&D boom when Critical Role was popping off as well, when, Vox Machina was kind of at the peak of their popularity.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then
I consider myself very lucky.
you
Mhm.
had that gigantic, collab project with, like, 30 D&D creators, and it was, like, this crazy, like, the Crap Guys Unchained
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, that was a nightmare. That took a year of work, not like on and off, of course, but I remember I sent the prompt and idea for all of those people who collaborated on that video a year before that video was finally finished and uploaded.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What was it like coordinating a project with, like, especially as someone who's mainly been doing YouTube, which, as we all know, can be, like, a very isolating, you're in the editing mines, as it were. Uh,
Mhm.
what was it like kind of collaborating with all those people?
Surprisingly easy,
Hmm.
you would think, because I feel as I pride myself on my ability to give instructions. I mean, look at me, I make guides. Um, but like I gave them like the instructions of like, here's the Google Doc, write this, here's the prompt, you're gonna write this idea. You're going to be involved in the creative process because you're going to be in it. And I want you, to make your own D&D inside jokes as to what type of player you are and all that stuff. And just let them have it. Like just gave them their own section, like here, and then let them kind of collaborate among themselves if they wanted to interact with each other. Like notably in that video, Davy Chappie and XP to level 3 have a little bit of banter with each other, and that's just like something that they just came up with by themselves because they're friends. Um, so yeah, it was fairly hands off, that section, and I wrote the video in a way that made it so that that could happen, like that I could be hands off, of course.
Mm.
Um, so I let them do it, and I played off of them just like D&D. I yes-anded and
Hey.
collaborated with them, and followed through with whatever prompt that they had. So I think playing D&D helped me in that sense as well, of like knowing how to work together with people on a project.
Yeah, it's
So
very
it was
much yeah, go ahead.
painless.
Wow. Yeah, it's very much that, like, that improv mindset of yes and, you don't wanna railroad your scene partners too much. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, you there were a lot of cool people, and I think Matt Mercer even was involved in that as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, Matt was so cool. I was, being a professional voice actor, I was more than happy to pay him for his work, but he was like, "Nah, dude, don't even worry about it. I got this.
Oh, that's
It's on the
awesome.
house." I was like, "Oh, man, Matt,
Yeah, I've
Matt's so
had
great."
the privilege of meeting Liam O'Brien. I haven't gotten to Matt yet, but man, all those Critical Role people are so nice. They're the best.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so kind of after that, what was your approach to just like you did like this D&D animation for wizards? You did like a lot
Yeah.
more animation stuff?
Yeah, kinda leaning more into animation since, like, people call the crap guides animation. I don't think so. They're more like slideshows, but,
Mm,
you can
PowerPoint
semantics.
presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's semantics, but, like, really, like, it got the ball rolling in, letting people see, like, "Hey, look, I do animation too. I'm an artist. I can do other things besides Monster Hunter." And I think in that sense, it helped the transition to doing other content a lot, uh, more painless than I think other YouTubers have had to
Hmm.
do with their content transition. Like there are for every channel like mine, like perhaps one of my biggest inspirations, Total Biscuit, like Jesse Cox,
Oh,
that made kind of
yes.
one thing because Jesse Cox used to be a WoW based channel. He used
Yeah,
to be formerly known
OMFG
as
Kata, right? Yeah.
OMFG Kata, that's right. And for every successful channel like that that is able to transition from doing that, RT Game was another one. He was originally
Team Fortress
purely
2.
a Team Fortress. Yeah.
Hmm.
For every channel that's able to transition out of that, there are I don't know how many that die as soon as they stop
Yeah.
doing the thing that they're known for. In fact, I know of one personally, and I don't mean this to dunk on them either, but Jacob, it's I think his channel was called It's Jacob.
Hmm.
He popped off doing Monster Hunter World content, and then when he branched out to do other things, his channel pretty much just like the algorithm really didn't like that.
Man.
And now he's doing other things, and I'm very, very happy for him. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's always tough too, because the algorithm, we're basically beholden to robots, but also to humans, which can be fickle
mhm,
and confusing as to what they actually want. And I think it can be hard to navigate that as like an online artist or creator. Is you're kind of like, hey, this thing that you all know me for, like maybe all I draw is Dark Souls fan art, right? And that's the thing everyone
mhm.
knows me for. But then I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to draw some, I don't know, Final Fantasy 14 stuff because that's what
Yeah,
I'm into nowadays. And it's hard because unless people are really watching you for you and like your own personality and like they'll be loyal to you no matter what you do, it can be hard to like maintain that level of attention. And
yeah.
yeah, I guess I'm kind of curious, like how did you find keeping like a fan base as you transition through like all these different variety pursuits?
Uh, could you elaborate on the question? How did I find
Yeah, like keeping
like
a community like through like Monster Hunter to D&D to Final Fantasy, did you find there were people who were like, "We want you to do the same thing forever, like Terry Pratchett, just make Rincewind novels?" Or was it more of like, "Oh, we love you no matter what you do?" Like, how did you yeah, what were things
right?
like?
Hmm. Well, I think I like to once again just stroke my own ego a little bit. I think what helped was there's a certain standard of quality I like to adhere my videos to,
Mm,
and there's definitely outliers for sure on my channel. And I'm trying. That's kind of why I made a separate channel for the lower effort stuff. But like I try to adhere to a certain level of quality on my channel, and I think a lot of my fans and viewers notice this and understand this and realize it, so that whatever I upload, no matter what the content it is, they know that it's going to be of at least some kind of quality,
mm,
of level of presentation or polish or whatever it may be. I'm not going to just half-ass it.
yeah.
Again, like I said, there are a few um videos on the channel, on my main channel, that are just kind of like stream highlights, and I'm not very proud of those.
Mm,
Like they're one of the few videos that I'm not very proud of, that I'm like I could do without uploading those, because it just kind of dilutes my channel
yeah.
with um just kind of, yeah, just lower quality stuff. It's like junk food, and junk
Mm.
food's fine and all, but if you go to the farmer's market, and you go to the local grocery store that always has good stuff, and then suddenly they're selling a bag of chips, you're like, "Well, what the heck is this?"
Mm. Yeah.
And they're probably not going to buy it. So I'll just put it in its own vending machine, if I were to push the analogy a little bit, and just like not worry about it taking up precious shelf space in my store that people expect high quality produce.
Yeah, and to really push that metaphor even further, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the internet nowadays, it seems that it's turning to slop, and that seems to be what's selling and what's
Yeah.
popular nowadays. But obviously, even though artists feel like we have to compete with you know, infinite slot machines that can just produce things in seconds and infinite content for the algorithm machine. In reality, I think people do really want to see that like authentic, high effort human touch. And
Yes.
whenever it's honestly not now that it's kind of getting harder to find as we wade through these algorithms that are getting increasingly worse, to be honest.
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
it's refreshing, like when you find something that like truly just speaks to you, it really just feels like, oh man, I found the holy grail.
Yeah. For sure. I agree there. And like, I think now more than ever, people, because of the fact that so much content, like pure content, is
Mm,
being cranked out, I think now more than ever, people are looking for media that is enriching,
yeah.
just like how you can feed yourself junk food and it feels good at the time, but you're not going to be satisfied. You can eat like the next like situation is crazy video like for the 50th time, but it's not gonna like it's not gonna stick with you. You're not gonna
Mm,
think about it for like hours on end. Like I recently watched the finale for Digital Circus in theaters, and that that stuff is, like,
Yeah.
sticking with me. I'm thinking about it. I am going into the night, like, laying in bed, staring up at my ceiling, just thinking about it and just pondering it and talking about it with my partner, with my wife, just, like, for hours. And that's the kind of, like, enriching media that I think people yearn for now that algorithms have distilled it down to its, like, crab like crusty crab, we're just gonna serve you pure grease now, sort of deal.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because, even though things are pretty bleak, it's also never been a better time to be an indie creator, because like all
Mhm,
these like animated pilots are coming out and we're seeing like actual big risks being taken in like creative
mhm,
projects and all these like really cool things that like if you think 20 years ago when media was like this monolith of Hollywood and that's the only way to ever do anything as an animator, um like it was not easy to get noticed as an indie, and it's still
yeah,
pretty hard now. You still have to work quite tirelessly and uh, make high quality stuff, even in the modern age. But it's also never been easier to learn. So,
yes.
mhm.
No, 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 I was just agreeing.
Oh, awesome! I love being agreed with. Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it's never been easier. It's really cool. And I'm kind of curious, like in terms of projects and stuff you're working on, is there any like aspirational things that you've always wanted to create if you had like the time and resources?
Yeah, before I do though, I wanted to jump on something that you said that, like,
Hmm.
now more than ever about indie creators, like, it's in the past few years, like, I would say the past decade, maybe even longer, who knows, people who have been in, like, actual professional industries might say that it's been going on longer, but I feel like in the past few years, people have really started to creators have been starting to feel fatigued at the, to put it lightly, mistreatment that creatives have had by large kind of corporate industries taking
Mm,
advantage of people with a lot of passion and heart and just kind of just not giving them the respect or control over the projects that they deserve. And so much as we live in a capitalism and we do need to eat and get paid, like, even that's not enough to stop people from wanting to create the thing to their heart's content, and they're just going, "Thanos, I'll do it myself,"
yeah.
and going, like, some of them, like, very, very happy for Glitch and their success recently,
Yes.
and especially financial success, allowing them to greenlight a lot more indie projects. But
Mm,
even smaller groups with a penny's worth of budget still creating because people just innately want to create. You don't need to. I'm gonna get a
go
little
for
bit
it.
preachy, but
Do it.
my my preachy woke opinion is that you don't need to compel or string along or carrot on a stick artists with a paycheck to create. They want to create. Just make them comfortable and give them a nice living wage and like benefits and a comfortable life, and they will make the best art. The
Mm,
artists do not make the best art when their paycheck is on the line, when their rent is on the line, you know?
yeah.
And I believe it is irresponsible corporate propaganda to try and push that you need to pressure them and keep them hungry. No,
Mm,
absolutely not. Like, you look at the Renaissance era and all those patrons, those rich royal patrons who would give like the equivalent of the modern day's millions to these artists to just go and make something for me. And you know what they made? They made art that we still talk about to this day, that
yeah.
are in history books, that people pay money to go to museums of. And that's because they were well taken care of.
Yeah, it's really
But
cool because. Oh, sorry. Yeah, continue.
no, 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 no. That was the end of the thought.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I think like there is like this pressure of like I need to I need to find a way to motivate myself to make art and not burn out. But in reality, like a lot of the like these structures we've kind of like were ensconced by are recipes for people not being able to make great art. And people are like, oh,
Yeah.
why is the game industry not as creative as it once was? Why is crunch time and burnout not resulting in good things being made? Is it because of woke? Is what's happening? It's like, well, no, if you just like, give artists a good environment to like make things, and they're not beholden to corporate overlords and the marketing team trying to increase the shareholder value so we can sell more microtransactions on the shop. It's like, well, yeah, you throw money at them so they can make the thing that's creatively fulfilling, and then people
Mhm.
will be attracted to that. You look at like Expedition 33. How did that win every single award ever? By being an amazing piece of art made by creative people who felt free and
Mhm.
able to make the project that they wanted to make.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the topic of projects, not only in the sense of just, uh, like if you want to make your own animated series, but are there also people that you want to work with? Like, are there kind of like dreams and goals that you have in terms of doing that sort of thing?
Yes, you were asking about like magnum opus and stuff.
Hmm.
As far as people to work with, I've got a handful, but more so in the sense of like having them be a part of the project rather than like co-creating with them. Because
Mm.
again, like I said, I've got my own control issues, and like there are projects that I have a very strong vision for. So I would definitely want people to join in as a part of like some of the production process, but
Mm.
maybe not so much the creative direction side.
Yeah.
I have a handful, definitely a lot of voice actors I would like to work with.
Oh yeah.
Um, but as far as things that I want to make, you talked a little bit about like a magnum opus, and I think I've discovered that I don't have one because I already made it,
Mm.
and then it became not my magnum opus because I'm starting to not believe in the magnum opus.
Yeah.
Um, Instead, I believe in the grand finale project, or the season finale,
Mm.
where it's like, okay, this project is going to be my big one for this season of my life. This is the big
Mm.
one. This is the one that's going to take a lot of work and effort, and I'm going to have to build to it and all this stuff. But then after I'm done, I'll move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And there will be the off-season projects where, the smaller stuff that's,
Mm.
maybe not as intense or demanding and doesn't require like an entire character arc to complete. You know those kinds of
Yeah.
projects, the ones that require you to like blood, sweat, and tears into.
Oh my goodness.
Um the off season. But Yeah, I do have a few that I know that like this is going to take a lot of work. I'm going to shelve it and I'm going to build up to it, build up my skills and build up my experience before I do it. And then when I'm done the equivalent of eating my vegetables, um, then I will have my dessert and work on that quote unquote magnum opus.
Mm.
And then I'll be done with that one, have another off season, and then do the next.
I think that is a really healthy mentality to have, because
Mhm.
yeah, I do hear like all the time, like, oh, I have this big project that I've been working on since I was 12. It's like a comic that's gonna be 1,000 pages, and I need to make it perfect, but I can't start working on it because it needs to be perfect. I think building up expectations in your head of perfection or like some kind of standard that it's like impossible to achieve is what can drive a lot of like procrastination, because
Mhm.
there's a saying that perfectionism is the mother of procrastination, and having that feeling of maybe like lack of ability or like a unrealistic goal, I think can really cause a lot of stagnation.
Yep.
So it is interesting though. I do like that mindset of not believing. So what would you say was your like original magnum opus that you've kind of moved on from?
Yeah. So also, before I forget, I have another saying that I
Oh,
like, which is perfection is the enemy of finished.
yes. Perfect is the enemy of good.
Yeah. And The magnum opus that was a big reality check to me was a video essay about Klonoa 2, one of my favorite childhood games.
Hmm.
And in fact, Even looking back on it, it's even more true now that it's not a magnum opus anymore because I don't think that's a very good video anymore.
Hmm.
Looking back at it, it's mostly like a plot summary, not enough discussion or analysis of the game itself. Um, but at the time, that was the video I always wanted to make. That was the
Hmm.
one that I'm like, if I ever did one video, it would be this one. And then I made it, and I was proud of it at the time. And not that this is the most important thing, because but it performed awfully.
Hmm.
It I would say the Klonoa video was the closest my channel ever came to dying.
Wow.
It because it was the complete polar opposite of what people came to my channel for. I made crap guides, which were silly, funny, deliberately trying to be funny with jokes. They were short, they were informative,
Hmm.
and this video was none of those things. It was not trying to be funny, it was trying to be analytical. It was not
Hmm.
trying to be informative, it was trying to be artistic. It was trying to be introspective.
Yeah.
And it wasn't short, it was long. It was like 20 or so minutes. So it was the polar opposite of what people have come to my channel for and what I had been come to know for. Now, if it were a different channel that was built upon that style and people knew it for that, it would be a different story. But all this to say that it just just no one cared, and that's fine. Like, that is a valid thing.
Hmm.
I had reached an audience, I had gained an audience, but it was not an audience that was prepared or used to seeing this. I had been serving apples for several months, and then suddenly I'm going to serve pizza? No, they came here for apples.
Hmm.
Why would they want to eat a pizza?
Because of the hot waiter?
So, I guess so, but hot waiter can only go so far.
True.
Um,
And
yeah, but
speaking of working in
sorry,
the food service industry, I see you've kind of also branched out to VTubing. What's that adventure been like?
I have. Yes. So VTubing has been fun. It hasn't really changed. Well, that's not true. I was going to say it hasn't really changed the way I stream all that much, but that's not true because it does allow a certain level of interactivity virtually that I think what people jokingly call, I think, flesh tubing. Although normal streaming, I
Yeah.
would say.
Never
Um,
heard that one before.
Traditional streaming does not, having a virtual character be able to interact with not only a virtual world, but potentially virtual kind of integrations with a live stream as well. Like, most notably, something called Twitch integrated throwing system, allowing people to throw objects at the model,
Huh.
which you can't really quite do with like your actual real physical form
Yeah.
unless you're what's his name, the guy who puts the zappy um tasers on everything. He invents robots and then he attaches a taser onto them.
I did a thing? No.
No, no. Michael, let me look up his name. Taser table.
Michael Taser. That's him. In-
Michael Reeves. Yeah, like,
oh, okay,
unless
yeah.
you're Michael Reeves and you can invent a robot that chucks things at you when somebody redeems Twitch bits or something.
Nice.
Twitch channel points. But yeah, I like VTubing. I didn't really show my face in my live streams or in my content because I didn't think it was important.
Hmm.
Like, I would only do so if I felt it was absolutely necessary and important to the content because my video was purely just about the video and not really about me.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel the need to put my face out there. Not that I am trying to hide my face, by no I've never felt the need to do a face reveal because I don't think my face is that big of a deal anyway. So my
Hmm.
face is out there. It's not a secret. But all that to say, like, VTubing just felt like a natural kind of progression, because it's like, well, I already don't have an avatar on screen. I have a pseudo avatar in the form of a drawing of me. So VTubing just kind of felt like a natural progression of that, a natural extension. So it's been good being able to kind of express myself, not just through my art and the persona that I have for that, but through having it be able to come to life in real time in VTubing.
Hmm. And that is a cool thing too, like experimenting with different creative mediums, not kind of limiting yourself as like an identity thing of like I'm an animator and this is all I do. Like being able to kind
Yeah.
of like have the neuroplasticity to be like, hey, I'm gonna try this for a bit and see how it goes. Let's try this.
Yeah.
Like trying new things. Um, is there like what would you say are the biggest things that you tried with like no expectations going in, but they turned out to have some like it turned out pretty nicely?
Hmm. Let's see. I mean, not much. I think just the crap guides because
Hmm.
I wasn't, my channel. I made let's plays and they did, you know, pretty well for someone who just started because I posted on subreddits and
Yeah.
they were getting upwards to 900 views, which is huge for someone without a YouTube channel. That's
Yeah.
massive. And they were getting comments, another thing that's massive for someone who doesn't have a channel.
Whoa.
So I think the crap guides were that. Like I had zero expectations for them because I was like, well, what's the odds? What are the odds that I'm going to have a successful YouTube channel? Very low to impossible.
Hmm.
um Almost impossible, or I guess. But like I was just like, I'm putting these out there for my friends and
Mhm.
not for an audience.
Mm.
I don't care how well they do. I'm just going to put it out there. And so yeah, just that.
Yeah, there's like that paradox of like sexy indifference where doing something without being desperate for like and I mean obviously you want to promote it and like be smart about the marketing and show it to people. But like not caring too much about like I need to pander, I need to like
Mhm,
make this the thing that appeals to literally everybody and then everyone will love
mhm,
me and I'll get millions of subscribers like I think that can be like kind of productive in a way. Because if you're just
mhm.
making stuff for yourself and for your pals, then turns out the whole internet's your pals. And
Yeah.
you know, I guess for those sort of newer creators out there who are kind of just starting out, or maybe like trying to make art and put it out there, or make videos and show them to the world, like what advice would you give to those people? Or if you pictured yourself from like all those years ago, giving advice to yourself.
Oh, that's I always give, this is my number one. I've said it many times in many other interviews and many other streams. Create like nobody's watching, because sometimes
Hmm.
nobody will. Like you talking about that mindset. Like it's okay to be disappointed when you don't, when nobody sees your stuff that you put out there. That's normal. That's human. But it puts you in a really crappy mindset when you put it out hoping for views, hoping for eyes, and then you get none, because
Yeah.
that is not something that it is in your control. You're setting yourself up for failure, and it's not fair to you.
Hmm.
It is something that's not within your control, and then it's going to drive you insane because you're going to think, oh, what did I do wrong? Or you're going to get resentful of the platform in which you post, and it's like, oh, well, they're screwing me
Mm.
over. So really the only thing you can control is your mindset and your reaction to it. And it sucks. It's not good. We should make a better world, in which case, in where you can create without the worry or fear of any of that stuff. But as it is now, it's important to go in with the mindset that there's a very high likelihood that no one's going to see your work, and you need to be okay with that. You need to understand that you're going to post this, and there is an entire possibility that's going to get zero numbers. Even content creators like me, we have to stay in that mindset so we don't go insane
Yeah.
and like throw ourselves into a depressive hole, um, or a resentful hole of our platforms. We have to tell ourselves the relative zero, because although sure, I've got a million subscribers, but getting 1,000, like getting 10,000 views on a video on a channel with a million subscribers can feel like zero. It's
Yeah.
all relative,
Mhm.
right? It can feel like zero, even though 10,000 views is probably more than most people will get in their lifetime. When it's relative to your level of success, it can feel like zero. So that's why content creators like me and any other content creator worth their salt will tell you the exact same thing that I'm telling you now, where it's like, put it out there, don't worry about its performance, because, or at least try your best to not worry about its performance, because it's not in your control, and sometimes you get screwed over, and if you obsess about that stuff, it's going to eat you up inside.
Yeah, and I think people sometimes expect that feeling will go away as they become more successful, but it
Nope.
really does just move the goalpost, because like
Yep.
I can as someone who was posting art on Twitter quite a lot, it becomes like, oh well, if this doesn't get 1,000 likes, then it was a failure. Nobody saw it. Like there's always a bigger goal to reach for, And I think that,
Yep.
like, expectation and desire can be such a root of suffering, because 'cause you'll never be satisfied because you'll always be expecting something more. So being able to
Mhm.
just, like, create for yourself and, like, have a mindset of, like, if it gets numbers, it gets numbers. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and I'm fine either way. Um,
Yes.
I'm
I
sure.
feel as though that also helps you create more pure art that's true to yourself as well. Like the whole, I went on that tangent about corporate meddling and stuff. And like in an ideal world, money would not be a factor in your art
Mm.
because, like, I feel as though, again, I'm going to be the friend that's a little bit too woke. The f- the fact that when the fact that we live in a capitalism means that all art is inherently compromised by the fact that we have to take into account our financial situation.
Yeah.
So the more you can separate it from that, I think the better your art will be when it's more true, more sincere, more what you want it to be rather than what you think should do well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's an awesome point. And yeah, I think that's a great place to kind of wrap it up. So if there's anything else you want to say to the world that you haven't already said already, do you think what do you want to share?
Um be kind to yourself. The world is in a rough place right now.
Hmm.
Especially if you're an American.
Yes. I'm
And
from yeah.
especially if you're one of the various countries that are under the thumb of America as well. I apologize
Mm.
for that.
We're sorry.
The world's a scary place. Hang in there. Do the best that you can. Be kind to yourself. Let yourself have things that make you happy.
Hmm.
I think in this current social media day and age, there's a lot of irony poisoning going around and like insincerity and trying to shrug it off and pretend like you don't care or like
Yeah.
be like, whatever, that's stupid and lame, unlike me who is cool and doesn't care about things. No, it's okay to care and it's okay to be kind and it's okay to let yourself love sincerely. So
Yeah.
that's my advice.
Love may be cringe, but it's okay to be a little cringe, that's what
Be
makes us human.
cringe. Be
Be
cringe
cringe
so you
and
can be
free.
free.
Yeah. JoCat, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an awesome talk. I'm so happy
Thank
to
you for
have you
having
on.
me.
Yeah, and where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere at JoCat. I have a website called jocat.net with a lot of information as well as where I put my all the wonderful fan art that has been given to me and all the links to all of my socials can be found there. Otherwise, you can find me on YouTube at JoCat, Twitch at JoCat, Blue Sky at JoCat.net. Yeah,
Awesome possum, JoCat. Have an amazing day, and
you
yeah,
too.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and I need to